got a sound check.
Check.
Man, we're gonna do this show like
You said you wanted to come on.
you know what I'm saying? Or if you got other things to do, then just go ahead.
I was still checking national championship information.
Okay, you know. I remember me and this
also watching this thing go up and down while I was talking.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Make sure you talk in it.
That's all you got to do.
What we doing today, Larry?
Oh no, well I got a story I got to tell you.
Okay.
Since we got a guest.
We do.
Yeah.
Special guest.
Yeah. So
very special guest.
I remember me and this cat did a caper. 2 young cats about getting paper. We hit a cat that we heard that had big grip. Walk around with 5 or 6 money clips. We laid him down and got away. Went around our way to count our pay. We hit for $5,000 exactly. But he had my gun. Then he pointed it at me. I gave the cat the loot. Then I stepped away. But I bumped into his butt. The next day, I said, yesterday you bad with your hand on the trigger. I said, I want action. Now,
we got some bars.
Oh, listen. I don't have bars, but he understand that lingo.
That's the world famous JT Money.
That's JT.
He's on.
So, you know, this guy coming in, but we got for a special guest. He hails from the great city of Miami, where money is a major issue. That's the acronyms for Miami.
Speaking of money being a major issue, want to pay some bills real
quick? Go ahead, pay
the
bills.
Real quick, episode 44, Politicking Gyro Larry Love, brought to you by Becker Custom Builders, the premier luxury home remodeler in all of Southwest Florida. The Martin Law Firm, servicing Collier County, Lee County, and parts of Tampa. Of course, our girl Tina Del Rosa, Tina D Agency for all your taxes and insurance needs. Salon Synergy, Eric and Nita Carter, over 30 years in the business. Lee Corp Homes, largest manufacturer of pre-carriage homes in all of Florida. Shout out to Chris Lee. Also shout out to DTA Naples, top designer of luxury closets in all of Southwest Florida. T Clinics USA, our guy Jeff Delaney, also Noviva Weight Loss. And we also want to give a shout out to the Alamo Gun Range. And is there anyone I am forgetting, Larry? You can give this shout out to, because I'm told the check's in the mail. So our newest sponsor, a law firm that's near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, you know, I'm part owner of that law firm there. You know, it's Suarez, Weinberg, you know, downtown Fort Myers. They're one of the best great defense attorney firms, not even in the state of Florida. I say in the whole entire United States of America, where they also defend the J6ers, but they also been some great allies and friends of mine. You'd have had individuals come out that law firm and now represent and sit on the bench and serve as a judge. So if you got any type of issues, any type of problems, especially dealing with the law, y'all go see them. Please do. They got offices in Charlotte County, Hendry County, Glaze County, and definitely Collier County. Go see them. And also ask for Connor or Michael Colombo.
Michael Colombo, our guy. And then speaking of law, Goodwin Law, the largest real estate law firm in Naples, Florida. Matt's got some shirts for us. Got some nice polos, so we'll rock those. So
way to come through, Matt.
Yes,
you know, I make it look good for you, baby.
Absolutely. It's going to look like money. Shout out to Matt Goodwin. And go ahead, pick up where you left off, sir.
Yeah, man. He hailed from the great city of Miami, Florida, where, like I said, the acronym for Miami is money is a major issue. So, you know, only the real go-getters and the hustlers understand that type of lingo. And, you know, I lived down there for a little period of my life. And, you know, I never had a chance to really bump into this guy, but we bumped into each other later in life. And, you know, he's been doing a lot of great things. It don't matter if it was in the Immokalee or down here in the city of Naples, but I appreciate everything he doing, the stuff that he do for kids. He got nonprofits. He just hands-on. He believe in giving back and paying stuff forward. No further ado than my homeboy Vaughn. What it do, baby?
Appreciate you, champ. Listen, man, I've been wanting to get into sit down and have this conversation with you. What better place?
Yeah, no, we appreciate you coming on, and you happened to speak somewhere where I was at yesterday, and it spoke to me. I said, I want to get this guy on our podcast, especially me and Eric Green were talking last week, and he said, man, you guys got a really powerful platform and you're reaching a lot of people. You really should consider doing, some of God's work and spreading a positive message. And when you spoke, I said, I want him on the podcast. So, I had to call up my main man, my partner, Larry,
Waking me up, man.
The clearance.
I'm trying to get stuff from my meeting over here in Fort Lauderdale
always
today.
Answers, though. My man always answers.
He called me and said, Vaughn. I'm like, I don't know Vaughn.
No, so I told Vaughn I wanted to come on the podcast, and he said, yeah, I asked Larry to come on the podcast. I ran it by him, and he goes, and Larry's going to tell, or he says, Scooby's going to tell you, no, I didn't ask him. So I said, I want Vaughn on the podcast. He said he mentioned to you that he wanted to come on. He said, man, Vaughn never said he wanted to come on.
Man.
So
I don't recall nothing like that. I don't recall nothing like that.
I don't recall.
Well, let me bring it back to you. I ran into you a couple months back, and you were headed here to do the podcast. And I said, L, I got a new book that's coming out. I would love to discuss the book with you. And you said, yeah, I'll bring you on.
Say less. Say less. I got it.
Yeah,
I got
absolutely.
It ring a bell now.
You know one thing. I'll never lie to you. I may lie for you, but I'm not gonna lie to you.
I appreciate that, though.
I
appreciate that.
So yeah, well, I had to get you on and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, like Larry says, I'm from Miami. I've been here.
What part of Miami?
I'm from Liberty City.
Okay.
I grew up around
Miami
Northwestern Bull till I die.
Wow.
Charles Drew, Elementary. Yeah, you don't know.
Keep going. But listen, so that's all in. Believe it or not, it's much like the city of Naples. It's probably a 6-mile radius. That all of the things that we see on television, for the people who have not gone there and actually just believe what they see on TV, that's all in like a 6-mile radius, believe it or not. But I went to Northwestern, graduated class of '92.
Pretty good football school.
Yeah. Now, if we want to talk about alma maters or who our team is, like that's the basis of my team right there, Miami Northwestern.
So who'd you play with at Northwestern?
I played with Eddie Murphy. You guys would probably know Howard Green. He went to Oklahoma, came out a year before me. We hadn't won a state championship yet, but the team that we built won the state championship like a year and a half, 2 years later after my graduating class. I think that's our first of many. So
don't put all that many in there now. Don't even act like that.
Miami Northwestern?
Don't put all that many in there.
Miami Northwestern. That's what
listen.
We're not gonna talk about that. Come on, man.
I know what y'all got down there. You know what I'm saying? Because matter of fact, y'all did go back to back, back.
Let me ask a question.
But Nate Webster and all them was,
the best Immokalee team of all time versus
we'll
the best
mop
Northwestern
that. We'll mop that
football team of all time.
We'll mop that, and we the best Immokalee team didn't win the state title.
Which would be what year?
I will always say that 1994 team, and we didn't win no state title. We didn't win. Belgrade beat Immokalee, but I was in Miami during that time. But '94, Immokalee was so loaded. That defense, they was shutting down everything. We went to Belgrade. That high-powered offense.
Was that Fred Taylor?
Fred Taylor, Riedel Anthony, all of them. Church, they was loaded. Going all the way to halftime. Like, Immokalee went to halftime winning 8-0. 8-0. We on the muck. Come out. They called back 3 touchdowns. They called back 3 touchdowns from Immokalee.
Why? Penalties?
That's what they say, penalties. So we would have won in the halftime probably about like easily 28-32 zip. But penalties. So I'm going to tell you who really won that game. Riedel Anthony. Riedel Anthony, he did a kickoff.
Bad man.
Going in the halftime, we kicked it off. Riedel ran it back. That's 7 points. He did it 2 punt returns, and he called a touchdown. Riedel was the killer. Shut that Fred Taylor trash down.
Riedel was a Florida State killer, too.
And, no, he wasn't. But then, also, who everybody knows as the Hall of Famer, Edger wasn't even a premier back. Nope. He was a fullback. They put him at fullback. We had 2,000-yard rushes. Actually, he ended up running that wishbone with 3 because Edger did get 1,000 yards. But you had Chris Jackson, who the father of J.C. Jackson, standout corner. Him,
uncle, right?
And Doink Means. They was the 2 premier backs. And Edger was the fullback. and they was getting it. We had 3,000 yards rushing on the ground, easy. But
So
that defense.
So that team would beat any
I don't
Northeast.
believe it. I don't believe it.
I think
I don't believe it.
because Gene led the country in interceptions. We had Deidre at corner. Gene Cantave at corner. It's just that defense. Now, I can't say that team, no time during us. Now, I'd probably say like that 2004 or 5 team.
You talking about with Sean Spence, the team with Sean Spence on it?
I don't know who was all that.
Jacory Harris?
Yeah.
Jacory Harris?
I think that probably was the best team ever came out of Miami Northwestern.
Yeah.
That team was super loaded and they were super talented.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
There was no.
So I can't say,
there was no glitches like in the armor.
I really thought Jacory Harris was going to be a better.
Yeah,
player
you know,
than
Jacory actually lives in this area somewhere. I'm not sure if it's Naples
Ave
or is it
Maria.
Fort Myers.
Oh, that's it, really?
He live in Ave Maria.
He's a firefighter.
So he drive go back.
No kidding.
Mhm.
But
Really?
it's crazy because Ave Maria, if you go out there, you'll probably see at least 10 Miami-Dade County Sheriff Department calls.
Oh, probably more than that.
If not more, you're right.
Probably more than that. Yeah, I know
Everybody from
6 of
Miami
them.
live in Ave Maria.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they just drive back and forth.
yeah.
You know, but yeah, I think that would have been, I think that team right there was hell. Jacory just didn't love the game.
Mm.
Yeah, I think he lost it somewhere.
Yeah, he didn't love the game.
between this freshman year in
When-
college
when
and
he got
senior
hurt.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because he had a good freshman year and then just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
never progressed. They didn't really have a good offensive coordinator under Randy Shannon, too.
They
I think
did
they had
not.
Like,
They
had
did
like
not.
three
And-
offensive coordinators in 4 years.
And I thought that was what was going to bring back the tradition
it
because
was close.
Miami, I mean, Northwestern has like the biggest alumni following in the country.
Mhm.
I'm almost willing to say in the entire country, not in the city or the county, right? I thought that because of the coalition between Miami Northwestern and
Randy Shannon.
it was automatically going
Luke.
to just bleed into it. And for some reason, whether it was the team didn't buy into to Randy Shannon or, you know, whatever it was, it just never happened at that time.
I like the Bulls. You know, I had a good friend.
And if
Shouts
you-
out to
all
Mika
right.
Beneby.
Wait a second. If you were in Miami right now and there was a football game going tonight, where would you be?
Man, you know, man, you already know how I'm rocking.
What game would you be at?
You know how I'm rocking. So yeah, I have on that, you know, that gold and blue.
That's right.
You know,
That's
that's just
right.
what it is. But you
Mhm.
know, my main man Snoop, you know, we was at Florida State together. So
Snoop Menace.
Yeah.
Menace, yeah.
yeah, so Snoop was my
So
guy.
Snoop won with who? With
Nate West.
With Nate?
Yeah, Nate.
Nate
Shout
White
out Nate.
linebacker, yeah.
Yeah, Nate, my guy.
Yeah.
Haven't seen Nate in forever. I know he got jammed
I
up.
want to
but
say he's in Ohio or something.
he stayed up there because you know
I
he
think so.
had went to
I think
prison.
so, yeah. I think
That was a bad
he
situation.
He ended up in Ohio. I want to say he's running a reentry program. Don't quote me on it, but I want to say that he's running a reentry program up
And
there.
we'll talk some more football. But speaking of reentry program, you want to kind of talk about your background and what you're doing today to give back to the community and helping
it's-
others.
It's honestly, I can have this conversation with you guys, and it seems odd, but because these cameras are on, maybe it's uncomfortable, right? But what I've done was I went to prison on a conspiracy charge. I wasn't involved directly, but I knew what was going on, and by the letter of the law, because I had, what do they say, knowledge of criminal activity, and I did not inform, of course, all right, I didn't inform law enforcement. I was brought into a case. But anyway, while I was there, I vowed that I would never put myself in that situation again. So I did a lot of reading, and I didn't just read. In fact, I didn't read at all. I didn't read novels. I didn't read what is it? What's the popular book in the hood that everyone used to Coldest Winter Ever?
You got
or
that.
Sister Soldier.
Sisters. But also, you had a few books like Beware the Pale White Horse. That moved around a lot.
Well, that was, that's a prison classic, right? That's one that I got a hold to before I got to prison. And that's a whole nother, like, that's a book of worms that you really don't, like, it'll take months and months to even just have that conversation. But what I did was I started to reinvent myself,
Mhm.
right? Because I knew that I came from good stock, and I just allowed my influences, which is the community, to be the priority, you know, and it landed me where I landed. So
In Naples.
fast forward to after incarceration, I had an injury on the basketball court which required surgery.
Okay.
While I was doing my rehab, I came here for a visit because my mother-in-law was here and she wanted to be able to baby her son-in-law. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with not having to carry a gun everywhere I went. I fell in love with my kids being in safe
Sure.
environments. And I want to say we were here in April. On August 1st, my wife and I packed up a truck and moved here.
And we say here in Naples.
Here is
obviously.
Naples.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were here and we saw some things, some gaps that we didn't think that were being filled properly or paid enough attention to, because I'm from a high crime area, right? And I can kind of see what's going to happen in the near future. This was before the, what do you call the opioid epidemic? It was before the opioid epidemic and things of that sort. So as it started to sow itself here, I had already sat down with city officials. I had already sat down with I want to say Bill Barnett was the mayor at the time. I sat down with Bill Barnett, and you know his words were like, "I hear what you're saying, but what are you going to do about it?"
Okay.
So I decided, you know what, we'll start to do what we can as individuals, because we didn't have a nonprofit set up or any of those things at the time. We decided that we would do what we could do if they would be willing to help us with it, right? So I understood what he was saying. In my ears, what I heard was, hey, we know that there's an issue. It's just not something that we're willing to or able to deal with from political standpoints.
Okay.
All right. So we formed Together on Purpose a few years later. I started off working with kids, and we had a program out of the Boys and Girls Club, both in Immokalee and in Naples. It was called Junior Men of Initiative. And it was a mentoring program. But what happened was, during that time, I was a younger guy, but I wasn't as old as I am now. But the volunteers who came for the mentoring program were old enough to be my mentors. Right? So I'm asking the kids, like, won't your dad come? Like, well, my dad can't come, or, you know, whatever it is. I understand that there is a crisis, and it starts with fathers, right? So what I wanted to do was form something that fathers could get involved with. If we mentor fathers, then fathers could mentor their own children, their own sons.
Of course.
All right. So remember, I went to prison. So once we got the nonprofit set up, someone's asked me, hey, someone from Tampa, her name is Katie. God bless Miss Katie. She was the executive director of Dress for Success. And she was saying that they were reaching out to her to do a Dress for Success for men. Well, one of the things I've always had interest in was putting people back to work, putting them in positions. I had worked as a career coordinator. So I kind of knew I know how to look at your past and some of the things that you've done without it being on a job application or a resume, and create a resume. So I was able to utilize that. That's why she contacted me, because I was dealing with people who had been coming home from incarceration. Many of them who never really had jobs, but while you're incarcerated, you have a job. So how do we put this on paper, right? So I kind of got good at that. So when she asked me to do I can't remember what they call it, but it's Dress for Success for men. I took it on, you know. So for 3 or 4 years, we did that, and then the pandemic happened. And when the pandemic happened, it kind of changed how people even interviewed, right? People were no longer wearing suits. So I have a warehouse full of suits that have been donated from different organizations, different companies, which I really had nothing. Like, I didn't have anything to do with those suits. In fact, I think I still have 40 or 50 of them in storage. But once she started me to focusing on reentry, I realized like my reentry was successful, you know, because I'm actually a part of a system or trying to helping people navigate through that system and returning home. So I ended up going back to college at age 48. I haven't finished yet. I'll finish. Hopefully, I'll be done within the next semester. I want to say December. I'll graduate with a degree in human services.
Okay.
That's what's
Big
up.
shout out to that. Yeah.
And I've also got this certification. I was the first prison reentry specialist in the state of Florida. Because I understand, man, like I met some of the best people in my life in prison.
How long were you in prison for?
I did 5 years
Okay.
off of
A nickel.
Where
I
am
did a
where-
nickel.
where-
I did federal time, so I was there in a couple of places. But the majority of it was in Jessup, Georgia. And the crazy thing is,
My father was in Jessup,
oh yeah,
Hinesville.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
That's
caught-
where he finished that.
I caught 60 months, and I did 57 off of 60.
Shoot.
Because when I went in, I was mad, I was angry. I didn't feel like I should have been in their indictment, you know.
It happened.
But it happened, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it took me some time to kind of like gather myself.
Mhm.
And there was a lady when I first went to Florida Memorial. So I went to Florida Memorial College after high school. She gave me a book. It was called Think and Grow Rich, right? And she would take me everywhere. Now this lady has to be
I read that before.
one of the most successful people that I know personally.
Mhm.
You know, probably 400 or 500 million strong. In fact, right now as we speak, she's on a cruise that started in January. She's cruising the world. That's the life, right? So I read the book, and one of the inmates that was there, you know, by the time I got to Jessup, we're in Open Bay. So they can see, you know, everybody has their little library.
Mhm.
You know, I got my little library set up. That's one of the books that's sitting on my desk. The dude sees it. So he and I start studying it. Like we're reading it, not like a novel, but more like a textbook. And we started, so the book talks about masterminding, the principles of masterminding. So we started planning on the inside. We started like planning our return to the community. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I know I wasn't coming back to prison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I started writing business plans. Some of them I implemented, some of them I wasn't able to implement, but it was a great start for me. And I realized that planning is what got me there, right? I didn't see the whole picture. I never thought that I would be actively involved the way that I am in the community, but so I'm here now, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes it just takes doing a small things like getting one step
Sure.
and
So-
everything else opens up.
So since you saying you here now, this morning I woke up and I saw this stuff that just happened at the Coastland Mall. Kind of disturbed me a little bit. You know, just for the matter that there's 3 boys, teenage boys, and they beat this woman dressed as the Easter Bunny. You know, it's 2 things. First of all, it's the Easter Bunny. And the second thing is the woman. So I'm thinking about it, right? As I was sitting there, and I was like, you got 3 boys beating on a woman. Where in the hell was the men at in there? But what would have happened if she had an alpha husband that just would have been coming around the corner? Because I know if it was me, that was my wife, even a girlfriend that I was dating, anything, it would have been some smoke in the city, especially if I'm by myself. Like, all 3 of them, they would have got it.
Absolutely.
But then people would have, you know, like they say, a hit dog or holler. But they would have been like, oh, why Larry did that to those children? So why the children did that to this woman? But one thing I also have noticed, man, this crime with juveniles, this thing is spreading like wildfire. Like, I don't know what. It just then catapulted. It just then took back off. And it kind of remind me of the 90s, as I was part of that. But they came out with them tough laws. They came out with the scared straight. They were sending us to boot camp and everything else. But then, you know, some of these kids, you know, they got pretty wealthy parents, what have you. They committed a crime. They came there. They got dealt with, get beat up, whatever. They sissified. They couldn't handle the structure by even, like, let's say, boot camp. When a lot of those police officers that came down from the military, they was tough as hell. They were tough as nails.
Absolutely.
But the recidivism rate was 0.
Mhm.
It was low. And so what those kids did, they cried home to their mom and daddy. They paid the politicians and they changed all that.
Yes.
And they got rid of all that. And so as the crime decreased, they got rid of those laws. Now you look at it, the thing just in spite. Because right now, this is what I'm seeing because some of the kids I'm working with. I could break in your house, take your goods. I come out. Police catch me. I'm not going to jail. They just giving me a citation. I can steal your car, take off, hit this car. I'm not going to jail. They're just giving me a citation. Now, what in the hell I'm finna learn as a child? Yeah, y'all gonna let me build it all the way up. So then when I turn 19, 18, as soon as I do steal a piece of bubble gum,
jaywalking, brother.
y'all gonna give me 20 years.
Jaywalking. Yes, sir.
Y'all gonna feel like, oh, look at this criminal woo, 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 as a juvenile, and I steal a piece of bubble gum. Y'all gonna be like, yeah, well, he's a menace to society. I'm gonna give him 20. You know, like,
well,
what do you see?
Well, we live in a society that type of behavior is glorified, right? See, when we grew up, things were regional. What I mean by that is, right? So my mother has family in New York, New Jersey. So in the summer, I always want to go to New York and New Jersey. You know why? Because that's where fashion was, right? So that means if I went shopping there, by the time I got back to Miami, I'll be the only one in my community that has what I have by months, right? But now we live in a popcorn era, right? You put it in the microwave, a couple minutes, it's done. What I mean, what I'm pointing out is everything that happens all over the country, all over the world, we know right now. So when they put this stuff on social media and they glorifying those types of behaviors, right? And then keep in mind, fathers haven't been in the houses, in the homes forever.
Yeah.
Like, forever. Like one of the first and biggest attacks on life has been against the father. You dig what I'm saying? So
yes.
I don't want to go into, like, I'm not no preacher or nothing. So, but I do believe that from what I've read, I can see that there was always an attack on the father in the separations, right? So a woman can't teach a man how to be a man.
You just can teach him how not to be a bad one.
Right. You understand what I'm saying? So the same jokers you talking about, I promise you, them same 3 jokers, I promise you, at least 2 of them pointed fingers at the person that initiated or who came up with the idea. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody reached out to me because I made a post on that about that. One of the kids got a father, but he's a beta man. He let this boy do whatever to try to be his friend. Spoil him. They moved the kid, so now this kid, he was a good kid, so now he pretty much becoming a product of his environment and hang around a different type of kid.
Trying to
because
fit in.
a single mother reached out to me and said, I know that one of them children, and I know how he was when he was hanging around my son. They played ball, when sports, practice, come there, play video games, eat everything else, he'll go home. And when they moved, now he around a different type of child. And now all of this carrying on and what have you. To piggyback on something about you saying about the father's not in the house, I will say this, and I'm very proud of this. Being a black man, it's a resurgence of the black man.
Absolutely.
Especially being in the household.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you look, I went and spoke at the Juvenile Justice Center. This was last month. Pay attention to everything, so observant. When I came through that system, everybody, it was dog eat dog. You had to get it how you live. Oh, you gonna throw some hands. Everybody was looking like me. Everybody was dark. You probably had, if it was 80 kids, easily 60 was black. I go in there now. I kid you not. So I'm talking to the kids. If it was 50 kids in there, probably want to say about 8 of them was black. 8. And I'm looking, I'm paying attention. Okay, fast forward. Just last month, I went to the juvenile courts. I went there with 2 other kids. I went in there. One kid caught a murder charge, 14. He got murdered. Another kid, attempted murder. Out of 119 cases, 119 cases. What I seen in that courtroom, it was only 13 that was black. So I know in our communities, we push sports so much now to these kids, and it's so much easier so they see this. But still, I care about it, but I don't care about it because it's still it's an epidemic going on with these kids. These kids are killing each other, especially in Cape Coral. I don't know what the hell going on in Cape Coral, Florida, but that's where all of it at. But you see these kids, they are more violent, senseless, and they really think you can press the reset button. I shot him, reset, because they don't even know.
Well, that started with us, right? When they started,
it was different.
Let me explain why. Because during my time, I'm a little older than you now. During my time is when they created these video games, these grand theft autos, and these what do you call those? Zombie killing and this, that, and the other, right?
Desensitizing.
So you desensitize a community by playing these games. Like right now, I just saw that there's a class action lawsuit against the makers of video games because of the addiction, just the addiction part of it, right? So just imagine that person, that young man that goes, he's been killing for a long time. He's really been killing for a long time. And there's always a reset button. No reset button in real life, man.
But that
you
goes
kill
back
somebody,
to,
they dead.
This 13-year-old, right? It's like I could put him in my hands like this here and just rock and cradle him. And he looks so soft. You know, we was looking hard out there. Mm-hmm. These kids look real soft. They look real feminine. Like
because they are.
So I'm like, I'm looking at this little baby. But he's charged with armed robbery. So I'm looking at how it went. The kids robbed the kid with the gun. Wait, he's been arrested 5 times. All of them battery, violent. So on this 5th one, it's armed robbery, right? So I said, let me see how this go. The kid robbed the kid with a gun. He got it from an 18-year-old. He said, I'm going to take your scooter. I just want to ride it for 5 minutes, and then I'll bring it back. Like,
because it's a game.
It don't make absolutely no sense. It make absolutely no sense. I don't know what's going on with these children. I believe, and then thank God to some of those men in Cape Coral that they wasn't afraid to get in front of that gun and wrestle the kid down and get the weapon and call the cops. You know, I say kudos to them, but also I felt like they should also stay in contact with that kid and be like, hey, listen, because they was out there playing ball. Try to get this kid, be like, man, listen, stay in contact with this kid. But I already reached out to him because I was the same way. You know, I caught my cases when I was 14. And I think more men really need to really take responsibility. Even though those are not your kids, I say they still are your kids because you're either going to be proactive or reactive. Because if not, they're going to be the same kid. They're going to eventually put that pistol on you or somebody you love or break in your house, and you're going to have to deal with it. One way or another, we're going to have to deal with it. And that's the way I see it. You know, don't mean to cut you short.
No.
You know?
I want to give Main Man an opportunity to chime in because I can go, when it comes to this topic, I can go for days.
Yeah,
you know
I mean, but it goes back to the home. How are those kids raised? Are the parents paying attention? Are they present?
They working 2 or 3 jobs.
Right. So dig it.
Again.
I did some research. Like, do you know why women, the mothers and families, historically, I mean, back before we had grocery stores and all of that, do you know why they catered to their husbands? They catered to them. I'm not going to go into the hierarchy of things, but in order for those men to provide for their families, they put their lives in danger because they had to go hunt, right?
Sure.
Like, not every place is Florida where it's sunny like 90% of the time. Some of those places, there's blizzards, and during those times, the men would be out.
Yeah.
Right? And just to see them come home, of course, I'm going to make sure that your bath is ran. Right? Of course, I'm going to make sure that you have the best cut of the meat that you just brought in, right? But now, because the fathers are no longer in the homes, the mothers are working 2 and 3 jobs, right? But during that time, when the fathers, like, if they were to fall in battle or if they were to lose their lives while they were out, you know who was forced to step up into that position? We call them Unc now, right? Uncles, right? They're like, so when they call me Unc in the community, I wear it like a badge of honor, right?
Yeah.
Because there has to be a void somewhere. And if I can be just that ear, if I can be that, let me give you a little advice, like I'm not forcing anything on anybody,
Mhm.
but if I can do that, I think that's my responsibility.
Mhm.
You understand what I
You're
mean?
reaching out your
And,
hand.
and of course, when it comes to our own flesh and blood, we should be that way.
Mhm.
You know, we can't help it that dad walked away. Because sometimes mama was the problem. He needed to walk away
Yeah.
before he put himself in a bad situation. But there should be like a willingness to be more than just a guy passing by on the block. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So when I had my one and only son, that was my vow. That's why when I caught my indictment, when I got indicted, it really, really hurt because it was a year and a half after my son was born. And I told him, like, the day that he was born, that, listen, I'm going to be here always. And not only will I be here for you, because I knew the environment that I grew up in and that he was going to be raised in, that his friends, the chances are 90% of his friends will be in that situation. So if I needed to be a father figure for them, I would as well. You know what I'm saying?
And what's high school did your son go to?
He went to Laley High School here
Pretty-
in Naples.
Probably the best high school in Collier County, I would
Well,
say.
I don't care
Pound
who
for
tell
pound.
Hey,
And
he,
then
he was tough as nails.
Yeah,
He was tough as nails. Mm-hmm.
Them Laley boys will do that to you. Let's talk about some of the greatest, real quick, Collier County high school football players of all time.
Well, I can only speak for what I've heard. Herschel.
That's my.
What's his last name?
Herschel Troutman.
Troutman.
Big shout. He watches the show. Big shout out to
Yeah,
Herschel.
Hirsch. From what I was told,
Herschel
was tough.
Would you agree? Honestly, Herschel was a better high school football player than Edrin.
Man, Herschel was tough. Herschel was tough. They ran differently. But Herschel was
that guy. I mean, he was putting up crazy numbers and translated to.
I don't like his brother.
Career.
I don't like Clifton with a passion.
I know you don't.
Cliff, like one of the best golfers in all of Naples.
Cliff
Coward. Stand up 10 toes down and call him what it is. Like,
shout out Clifton Robinson.
Don't do no sucker stuff on the
show.
No,
I'm being facetious when I say that.
Yeah, but but there's certain things I can't take from him.
Like the golf thing.
Yeah, he is a golfer.
Yeah, like the golf thing.
The fucking golf. I can't take that from him. But he ran that ball very differently and very hard. He was smooth with it. I think he probably one of the smoothest running backs.
Hirsch?
Yeah. Nah.
Clifton. His brother,
I
think Clifton probably was the smoothest. And right now, I think in the high school state of Florida, when they ranked the top backs or the top players, I think they had Clifton like number 16.
Over Herschel?
I think so.
Really? As far as just overall or the stats? Because I think stats Herschel got him on.
I don't know. I think it was
Interesting.
Yeah, I think, I forgot Herschel was on that list too.
And then shout out, of course, to the Paul family. I know you're close to the Paul family.
Yeah, man.
I think we all agree the greatest
family, yeah.
Sports family, Collier County history. Yeah. Matt Paul, Gene Paul.
Yeah. Shout out to the pops, man.
Yeah, shout out to
that's
the where pops. It starts. And
so hands down, women's basketball, Stephanie Paul was that.
Yeah.
She went to Georgia, right?
To University of Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've played against some of these guys, just pick up games and things of that sort. If Herschel would have been 3, I can imagine him.
I know.
If he was 3 inches taller, because like even on the basketball court, he's a dog. Like
Herschel was a beast. Hey, see, I was there during that time period, man. Hersch can go.
Yeah,
Hersch can go.
Yeah, and when your homeboy comes over to play, Fred
Green.
When Fred came over to play,
I always said Fred was the best overall out of Collier County. Period.
So what just watching him, like seeing him physically, like with these eyes, I can imagine if he was 3 inches taller. Hell, to tell the captain,
he didn't need to be because he was 5'9", dunking those 7-footers. Facts.
Yeah,
and he was shooting. They talking about Steph Curry. Man, he was first team All-State. Fred used to actually cross half court, 3 or 4 steps,
Cross the hash.
and let that thing rip. He had that long range like that. He was stroking it.
Yeah.
But his IQ of the game was
Yeah.
just crazy. Fred IQ, he was like, he tried, the Heat invited him for a tryout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fred was so caught up in the streets. Don't forget, he went to jail.
Was he
Our
supposed to go
senior
to
year?
Florida?
Fred with McDonald, he could have went anywhere.
But I
So
believe his-
he was in the county jail. His senior year, he ended up going to jail. His last opportunity was the school in Alabama. They came and got him. They was like, listen, we got another college that's they willing to come get you out. But if you get out right now, the judge told him, if you get out right now, you leaving ASAP. You got 3 days, 72 hours, get your stuff and go to Alabama. And he did. He went up there, went to Alabama, went up there, showed out, took the kid position. Next thing you know, he lifting weights. Dude came in the weight room with all that Eddie Murphy, and
he
Fred
told me
Markley.
Fred too ran up on
Fred was
Jason
Fred.
Williams in a pickup game or something and gave Jay the business too.
This dude used to be
I know,
outside
I know.
shooting in
Yeah,
the
I
rain.
know.
Yeah.
Fred, he shoot basketball in the rain. The dude he was a workaholic.
All right, we got this game called Rapid Fire. You got to pick one or the other. I don't know what your political party is. We call you a Democrat. We'll leave that part out. But it's gonna be Miami themed. Okay. Kodak Black or Plies?
Flies.
Trick Daddy or Rick Ross?
Trick.
All day, right? How about JT Money or Trick Daddy?
Ooh.
Because there's no Trick without JT.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm gonna say JT.
I agree.
I'm gonna say JT.
What's your favorite JT Money song?
I used to get in trouble for this my senior year in school. It says "Waking Up." I can't remember the name of the song unless I sing it. It says "Waking up every morning, pockets on E, bleep bleep bleep." School ain't for me, and I would play that in my car. Like I had a Chevy. Of course, it needed work or whatever, so I would crank the car and go back in the house and get dressed. When music's pumping, my mom would hear that song and go ballistic. Boy, you better make sure you're in school. I'm checking. So that was a theme. I would play that all the time.
Was that on the Pimpin' on Wax album?
I think it was Pimpin'
Yeah.
on Wax.
Yeah, but love JT Money, legend. What's your favorite JT Money song, Larry?
Man, I go back to
Boys and Clan.
Yeah. I love Action, man.
Action? Yeah.
That's the song I was just singing, man. Like Action. Like that changed the dynamics of me, like, cause I understood that during that era.
Yeah.
That was the real Poison Clan, the
I would
PC.
go with play ass shit, but that's
I got enough paper to buy a skyscraper.
I used to own an acre.
Now I own Jamaica.
Huh?
Never caught bragging about the cell of your phone. I'd rather talk about the
Hey.
crib I call home sweet home.
Can you remember? Can you remember seeing them pick up that cellular phone?
yeah, the big
big block.
yeah.
Out of here.
It's just-
Man,
all right, let's keep it rolling. Jason Taylor or Zach Thomas?
Zach Thomas.
Naples guy too.
And the reason, excuse me, I'm sorry, Jason Taylor.
Okay.
And the reason for
Oh,
it is
yeah.
because he took a position and he changed what it looked like totally.
okay.
What
I
the
got
defense?
one for you. I got another one for you.
Go ahead.
Madison or Sertan?
Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
But it's
That
not.
defense will bite now.
Yeah, but Madison was my guy, man. Like Sertain, because he still stays relevant. Like you
Was a kid.
yeah,
Because
his
it's kid,
right?
that's it. But
Right.
He's the best.
Right, that's what I
quarterback
mean.
in
And
football.
I want to say, wasn't he the coach at American Heritage?
he was.
Right, so that kept him relevant in the city.
But Sam Madison.
But Sam Madison was that guy.
Louisville.
That guy, yes, sir.
Both were
yes,
second
I had
round
Madison
picks.
jersey too.
Yeah, I
I
bet.
We're gonna keep it real, Miami. Eric E-Class Prince or Teddy Touche or Teddy Lucas?
Gotta be Ted.
Yeah.
Gotta be Ted.
Slip and Slide or Skywalker Records?
Skywalker Records.
Sundays or Finger Licking?
Neither one.
No? Okay. Derek Brooks or Ray Lewis? Come on.
That's a trick question.
That's not a
The
trick.
greatest
question.
of all times. The greatest of all time it would be Ray, but Derek Brooks was him.
Well, you could argue Derek Brooks is the
100%.
greatest all-around outside linebacker of all time too.
But sideline,
Right? I mean, for outside linebackers, Derek Brooks is the mecca.
sideline,
From Miami, Derek Brooks. From Miami.
What, Derrick Brooks?
Derek Brooks from Miami, eh?
Derrick Brooks is not from Miami.
Is that from Miami? Where's he from?
Pensacola.
Yeah, Pensacola.
Is he from Pensacola?
Pensacola.
Okay.
That's why I didn't understand why you put that on there.
Okay.
I thought you was just taking a shot at Florida State. You better
No,
get
no,
off my
no,
team,
no,
man.
no, no.
You know,
Better get off my team, man.
I thought he was trying to
great
make
linebackers.
make
Now
me
you could have went
biased.
Jesse Armstead or somebody. You know Jesse from
Jesse-
Texas,
Je-
but you know I think Jesse was a better ball player in college than Ray.
Lewis.
Yeah, Ray emerged.
Man,
He
Armstead was
did.
Armstead-
Ray Lewis didn't have. He was on that probation era team, so he really didn't have that
Him and
much.
Armstead was together.
Huh? Yeah, but Armstead was only for like a year.
Armstead was that
They,
dude.
they weren't.
Armstead.
And Michael Barrow.
Michael Barrow, who's
Michael Barrow
yeah,
was-
Michael Barrow.
Listen, so
Bust
which,
head buster.
who
Great NFL
who-
career and a coach now too.
Who almost killed Tamarick Vanover? I mean, Peter Ward.
Sean Taylor.
No,
No, you're thinking of Sean Taylor laid out at FSU. No, you know what I'm talking about. Where
Sean
he
Taylor
laid-
hit Roscoe Parent. I mean,
Roscoe
no,
Parrish
he
was
hit
to Miami.
Man, golly, there's been so many hard hits in them.
In those games.
so many
In those
hard
That
hits.
was like an NFL game.
Yeah, I can't call. It's been too many.
I can remember the year that Rock and Ward what's the running back name? Dunn.
Work done.
I can remember that year when Marvin almost decapitated Marvin Jones Shade Tree. He almost
Now Marvin Jones is from Miami.
Marvin
yeah,
from Miami.
yeah, Marvin.
He's a bull.
Yeah,
Marvin
Marvin
played.
Jones from
Marvin
Miami.
played. He was the star linebacker
Mm-hmm.
when I got to high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
He was the star football player because he was.
he was all Miami.
Yeah,
All right, let's keep
Mhm.
it from MJ or Kobe.
Kobe.
Wow,
My man, 50 grand.
I don't know about that. Matt Paul or Gene Paul?
I can't do that. I can't
You
do
gotta
that.
go
bro.
back.
Gene Paul.
Oh,
I play against both of them, and Gene Paul, football and basketball.
So for
Matt
me-
was football too, but Gene Paul was just something real special.
now for me, because I don't have
Relationship.
mine is based on relationship,
Then
not
of
based
course
on.
you're gonna be Matt. Then.
No,
'Cause
but-
Gene is not really around.
He's
I
in
know,
Georgia.
but all right. So I can't choose. That's like me. Ask me the question again, Stephanie or Matt. Right.
Right.
I can't say either one because I think they're both great people.
Fair enough. We got to roll through these. Edge or Fred Taylor?
Edge,
Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society?
Boys in the Hood,
Agree. How about Casino or Goodfellas?
Casino,
My man. Jamie German or Noel Devine?
Jamie,
Agree. Frank Gore or Willis McGahee?
That's easy.
Gore,
Agree. How about this one? You already saw it, but Leroy Butler or Brian Dawkins?
B. Dawkins, B. Dawkins.
What made you put those two on
Two
there?
Florida guys,
Okay.
safeties.
Yeah, B. Dawg,
Keeping it. Herschel or Clifton?
Hershey,
And we'll end it with The Chronic or Doggy Style.
Doggy Style.
Really?
Yeah,
There is no Doggy Style without The Chronic.
I understand. I
but-
hear you, but Doggy Style.
Okay. And 60 seconds, let them know how you can get involved, what you're doing. I know you're doing the trade schools and how they can find you.
Okay. 60 seconds. So Together on Purpose, which is the organization that I co-founded, we actually have a workforce development program where we provide certification, industry recognized certification in HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. Our next classes will start on April 23rd. They're free. April 28th. They're free of charge. It's a first come, first serve situation. Of course, because I am a re-entry man, we give precedence to the re-entry community.
Mhm.
So you can reach out to me if you want to on social media at manhood_empowerment coach.
We'll put the link below too.
And for the record, before I leave, I will be giving you both copies of my new release book. It's Uncuffed. And it's not just talking about being cuffed up here, but being cuffed up here.
I was talking about being cuffed up with a woman or something.
No,
man. I don't
that's
know.
the shit.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
Why does that happen to you?
I was just like, I don't know. I'm just
Listen.
uncovered. Get away.
Listen, Listen, I don't want to get into that.
Hey,
You're not gonna get me to jump in.
A Miss Amber Bronner told me to tell you hello.
Oh, tell Amber I said hi.
Shout out Amber
Yeah.
Braun.
Tell Amber I said hi. Tell her I hope that Jay is doing well. That's my guy, her son. Yeah.
It's a pleasure having you on.
Yeah.
Glad we could make it happen. Big shout out to Elle for making the trip quickly back from the other coast. And
Yeah,
we'll definitely
man.
have you on more back and
Man, I
have you on our
appreciate you
live.
guys.
And definitely, I appreciate what you're doing because it hits close to home for me. So,
Would you rather deal with a B or a H?
I don't know. That's a trick.
That's JT Money.
yeah. Some play ass. All right. Till next time.
Till next time, we gotta run. It's been fun. See you on another one.
Your books are outside, actually.
Okay.